Hello, hello. So I hope my voice is audible to each and everyone, right? Yeah. Okay, okay. So let's get started. So hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we are going to be creating a music player app using Kotlin. Okay. So we will be creating an application with all these basics that we have learned so far in this whole course. Okay. We will be implementing basic things. We will be taking out, you know, the free APIs which are available on the internet, and we will be creating a full-fledged music player application. Okay. So for that, what we have, we need some of the basic things. We need a little understanding. Okay. Like what is an API, how to use an API, and what are the major things that you should be knowing. Okay, like what is app development if you are new to this full course. So app development is a process creating software application that learns on mobile. Then you have Android development. So Android development is a process of creating mobile apps that runs on Android operating system. Then we have UI UX, then mobile app developer, and all these things. Okay, so starting with the first thing, that what exactly we are going to be creating in this particular project. Okay. Okay. So talking about the definition over here, firstly, we should understand what is an API. Okay. So as you can see right here in this particular image, that it is telling us what is an API. Okay. How to work with an API and what are the things that you have to make sure when you are creating an API. Okay. So in this particular reference, you can see that it says, let me log this image, right? Oh, okay. So here it says that it is an application programming interface that allows two program to communicate on the web. APIs sit down between an application and web server, facilitate the transfer between the data. Okay. So an API is essentially a set of rules and protocols that defines how different software components can interact. Okay. It specifies the method, data formats, and conventions that applications must follow when requesting or providing services. Okay. Then we have over here that basic way by which an API works. Okay. So it says, hey, we need more nectar data to make the honey app. Okay. Then what it does, it sends an HTTP request. Okay. Now it will check whether the request is valid or not. Then it will call to the server. Server will be having the data storage over here, and then it will give the data requested, and the data will be received to the particular client which is asking for it. Okay. So how it works with three procedures, that is request, receive, and response. So API call is initiated by the client application via HTTP request. Then we receive, our worker bee acts as a API, so which is going to the server and collecting the data. Then what we have, the response. So API transfers the requested data back to the requesting application using a JSON format. Okay. What is a JSON format? So let me give you an example. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Okay. And what it is basically a lightweight data interchange format that is easy for humans to read and write, easy for machines to generate and parse. Okay. It became widely used when let me do one thing. Let me show you an example. Okay. So I'll paste it right here. Okay. So you can see over here that this particular thing is an API. Here it says name is John Doe, age is 13, a student is false, city null, hobbies reading and swimming. Okay. So this curly brackets over here, it is a normal API. Okay. Then you can even have an nested structures. Then JSON is designed to be easy for humans to read and write. Okay, its simplicity and clarity makes it popular choice for configuration files and data storage. Okay, then you have usage and all these things. You can have a little reading about JSON before coming and starting off this particular course. Okay, otherwise just stick with me, and I have given you a little brief regarding JSON, and we will be moving on and understanding more about it. Okay, so this is exactly how an API works. It is a basic structure over here that tells you how exactly it works. Okay, then here we have an end user. Okay, then you have a developer, then you have API, and you have dataset. Okay, then end user will get the required information of your data. Developer will design your app in a way that it can access data stored in assets via APIs. Okay, and here is an API. It will connect your data to accessing information which is required or which is asked by the user, and will be sending that information to the app. Then you have asset, which is some sort of database. So the data of other brands will use for providing third party services and all these things. Okay, so this is just the API. It is like a set of rules which you can see. It specifies the method which you can follow when you are requesting or providing some sort of services, like asking for data, sending some data, requesting some amount of information, and all these things. Okay, so yeah, you can make sure all these things is important concepts when you are working with APIs. Okay, now for the particular application we will be working on with free services which is provided by APIs, like free music APIs. Okay, because if you are creating a music player application, we need a lot of data, music data, songs, and all these things, which is not impossible, but it is very difficult for a normal person to manage. Like, you have to search each and every individual song, you have to create your own data set. So instead of doing that, we will be working with the free APIs, which are already available for free of cost, and we can just, access those APIs, and you can get the output of your data. Okay. So let's do one thing. Before that, we will be having a little brief about what we are going to be doing in this application over here. So we have multiple steps. Okay. So you have steps of here. So first step will be adding dependency. Okay, so dependencies. So first step will be adding dependencies. Okay, then we will be doing what? We will be using data. Okay, so we will be particularly creating our own data like that. Okay, and you have API over here. So we will be then working with API interface. Okay, we will be working with the API interface as well over here, and the step will be fetching the particular data in main. Okay, which you can do by different procedures. So creating data class, then API interface, and you have get data in main. So get data in main. Okay, this is the basic step. Then you can have the popular data, however you want to access the data, and whatever basic things you need. So we will be working with that part as well. For now, we will be searching for some of the free music APIs. Okay, so we will be searching with free music APIs. So I'll head over to my browser, and here I'll search free music APIs. Key music API, you can see we are getting some first website, that is Rapid API. Inside this, you can see it's telling us that some of the free music APIs is uh, Deezer API. Okay, so we can work with Deezer API over here. It will head over to the Deezer API. Here you can see popularity is 9 out of 10 something. So it is asking to sign in. Let me just sign in with Google. Yeah, you can fill all these things and like okay, so these are the basic information that is it is asking us for. So we'll use a specific AI, submit and all these things. Okay, so head over back to the data. Here you can see we are getting some of the information like this is Deezer is number one site for listening music on demand. Deezer discover more than 30 million tracks. Okay, and all these things it has written over here. So we will be using this particular API over here. Okay, make sure to log in so that you can access the data. Okay, now in this here you can see that we have code snippets. So in this code snippet, you will check for the particular language in which you are coding. We were coding in Kotlin, so we'll select Kotlin and we'll write OK HTTP. Okay. Now you can see that we have got our data, and you have different sets and things which you can check and all. Okay. It has more than a lot of songs. Example response you can see. Okay. So in body it has zero keys and result and all these things. So we will be using this particular API over here. Now, what is the next step is that we will head over to our Android Studio and we will be creating our own application. So I'll head over to file, new. Yes, so now we will close it and let's start it again. I don't know why it was not loading. So I'll write Android Studio and let's give it a second till it's loading. Now inside this file, we'll click File, New Project. And inside this new project, I'll select an empty activity. Okay. And right after this empty activity, I'll write music app. Okay. So music app will be, rest all the things will be exact same when I'll write finish. Okay. So it will take a minute or so, I guess. Let me close this old file. Yeah. And this is a music player which we have got over here. Okay. Now, inside this music player application, the first and the most important step is adding the dependencies. Okay. So we will be adding dependencies. What are the thing that we will be needing in this throughout course? Okay. So will be adding all these crucial steps in it. So let's start with that. So now we will add dependencies. So head over to Gradle scripts. Inside the Gradle scripts, we will go to the app, gradlescript.app1. Okay. And we will scroll down. So here you can see we have dependencies. So let's add dependencies over here. The first dependency that we are going to be adding here is retrofit. Okay. So I'll add retrofit. So retrofit will be added. So for adding retrofit, what you can do, you can just head over to this particular part and here you can write retrofit like that. Yeah, retrofit you can see, and here you have retrofit, a very nicely explained article. Here you can read this article and here you will be getting all these information which is necessary for importing for working with that. Now in this Gradle it's telling us to implement this retrofit like this. So we will copy this statement and we'll go back here and paste it. Okay. And here it is saying insert latest version. So we have to check what is the latest version currently going on. So we'll head over to the GitHub over here, view GitHub project. And inside this GitHub project, you can see it has 54 tags. Okay. So inside this 54 tags, we'll click on 54 tags. And here you can see it's 2.9.0. Okay, so instead of writing this latest version, I'll just write 2.9.0. Okay, so this will be our retrofit, and we will be then writing JSON converter. It's a JSON converter, and inside this JSON converter, we will be writing some of the major code, that is implementation JSON converter, like that. So the dependency will be almost same, okay, but instead of writing retrofit here, it will be changed to JSON converter. So JSON dash converter. Okay, so this will be JSON converter, and even the version will be same. Okay, so 2.9.0. This will be the basic version, and I'll then click on sync now. It will take a second or so to get synced, and let's wait till it's getting synced up. Okay. Yeah. So here you can see it has successfully synced, and the dependency part is done. So now we will be doing what? We will be checking out the API that we have created. Like, what exactly is this JSON converter doing over here, and what is happening with our data? So what we will do, we will be checking that out first. So we'll head over to this teaser API. Here you have to write test endpoints. So in that it's asking us the ID. Okay, so the tracks teaser ID. So I have some of the random ID which I'll be taking here, and I'll be just writing text endpoints. And here you can see that it is giving us some keys. You have given some body response. Now I will go and here and I will write JSON formatter. And inside this JSON formatter, we will click on JSON formatter and validator. And here I'll write paste. And as soon as we will click on process, you can see that it's telling us that title is stan, title short stan. Okay, so title version, and here you have the link as well, then duration, charts to chart, and see available countries, all these things is written. So in which particular country this track is available, then contributors is Eminem and Dido, and again all these things, like are getting basic information. Okay, so release your anger therapy music and all these things. Okay, so our JSON formatter is doing all this. It's get basically formatting our data and getting our output. Now talking about JSON, so JSON refers to Google's JSON library, which is used in Java to convert JSON and vice versa. Okay, it allows you to work with JSON data in Java applications more easily. However, JSON itself does not have a built-in formatter. In the sense of a tool pretty JSON, okay, it primarily focuses on converting Java objects to JSON and vice versa. These are the basic things that a JSON does. Okay. Now let's head on to the second part where we are going to be creating our own data class. Over here, what we will do, we will head over to files. Inside this files, we'll go for settings. Inside this settings, we will go for plugins. Okay. And in this plugins, what I will write JSON to, okay, so I'll write JSON to Kotlin class, this one. And what I will do, I will just install this one, and let's wait until it gets installed. Okay, so yeah, this part is installed, and we'll click OK over here. So as soon as we'll click OK, now what I am going to do, we are going to be creating a file. Okay, so I'll write projects, and inside this project, I'll right click over here. Just a minute. Okay. So I'll right click over here and I'll write Kotlin data class file from JSON. Okay. So this particular thing we are going to be using. So for that, you need to install that plugin. Until and unless you will not install, you will not get that particular option. So installing that uh, installing that plugin is really, really important. Okay. Now, as soon as this file will be opened for you, what you have to do here is you have to head over back to this Deezer website, and here you have to click on search, And here you can see it has written default parameters eminem, and we'll just click test endpoints and you will get this particular three keys as a result. Okay, so you have to just do one thing, you have to just copy this out. Okay, and as soon as you will copy this out, you have to select all of this and paste it. Okay, then you have to write process, and here you can see that you are getting the processed data of all these files which you were having. Okay, so what I will do, I will just copy this to clipboard. Okay, and we'll go to our Android Studio and we'll paste it. Okay, so as soon as we will paste it, we will be doing what? We will be writing a name. Okay, so what name I'm going to give? I'm going to give it a name as my data. Okay, and it will click generate. So as soon as it will be generated, you can see this is my data, and here it has some sort of, it has created a class. Okay, data class. So what are the data class? Data, string, and total. So if you will go to this particular JSON formatter over here, if I will head over here and if I will check this file right here, let me go up. So yeah. So here you can see it has total and the next. So this is the particular data which we are having. So inside data you have multiple like ID. Okay. Then you have string over here. You have ID, another readable true, and all these things you have present. Okay. And as soon as you will check over here, you will be getting data file. Okay. So inside this data, let me head over to my data. So inside this, we will be having data file, and you can see that album, artist, duration, and integer, link, and all these things are present already over here. So our data has been generated using the proper link over here. Okay. So for creating an API interface, what I will do here is I will right click here and I will click on new. Then you will click Kotlin class file. Okay. And here what you will name is you will write API interface. Okay. So API interface. Okay, API interface, and then we'll click on interface, and yeah, this part is done. Okay. Now to create an API interface, you just need to add a simple function. So I'll write function get data. Inside this get data function, we are going to be calling out some of the important things. Okay, so what I will write query. Okay, so we'll write what exactly you need to get the data. You need to get the data of a query. So you write query that retrofit query. Okay. And as soon as you write query inside this, you have to be calling out what query is it's actually you are calling. So we'll quick to Deezer, and here you can see the query name is Q. Okay. So here this is the default URL. Okay. So here it will be the default URL, and after the search, it's Q equals to MNM. Okay. So what I will do here is I will write query is Q. Okay. And after this Q query, we will name it as query, and this will be having string. Okay, so it will be having a string. String is what the artist name which we were having over there. And then what we are going to call, we are going to be calling over here the list. Okay. So we are going to be calling the list of my data. So list and my data like that. We are going to be having all these things. So call list and my data. This will be having what it says over here, unresolved options. So we will import that call. Which one? I'll import retrofit.to.call. Okay, so I think so it's not showing over there. So we'll do what? We'll write copy, we'll paste here, and inside this, we'll write retrofit through dot call. Okay, yeah, this call we will call it. Then what we have to write? We have to write a basic line that is at the rate get. Okay, so get, and after writing get, we have to give it search. What is the search over here? Search is the basic key that is asking to import. So let's click on import. So right after here, we will click on import. So let me paste it and get. Okay, retrofit get. This get we are going to use. Okay, should be completely capital. Yeah, this one. If now what it is, this is search bar. Why we are calling it search? Because over here you can see that we are using endpoint search endpoint. Okay, so get search. This is the particular endpoint that we are using. So we will be using that. Then now we need to add headers. So what are the headers? It will be having some of the important parts. So yeah, this header. And inside this header, we need to add, our API key and the host basic data. So we have over here the already made snippet. See, add header. So this is the header number one. So we will copy out this header from here. I'll write copy and we will just paste this header right under this line. Okay. Similarly, we have one more header over there. So we will paste that header as well. So we'll go here, X, and we'll write copy and yeah. Here, right after this line, we will paste it. Okay. So this is the basic part, and let me check whether it has some errors or not. Okay, so it should not have this error. So host deezerapi.com and all these things, it should be not having any sort of gaps and all. Okay, so when you are importing this, make sure that each and every file is imported properly so that when we will be working with it, if any individual element is also gone, it will not work properly. Okay, so just make sure that this part is fine. Okay, so yeah, as of now you can see our query is API interface has been successfully created. In this we are creating a header, and inside this header file we are getting get, and even we are calling out some of the search functions as well. Okay, so these are the basic part that we are going to be importing over here. Now over here we are going to be creating our retrofit builder. So what we are going to do here is we will be heading over to the main file, main activity.kt, and in this file we are going to be creating a retrofit builder. So for creating a builder, what exactly we need to do here is we need to write val and retrofit builder. So retrofit, inside retrofit we'll write retrofit builders. Okay, here you can see we will be getting the data. So retrofit builder equals to retrofit dot builder. Yes, retrofit dot builder, like that we will write. And inside this we are going to be providing some base URL. So I'll write base URL. Yes, so let me see, maybe we are not getting that proper import over here. Yeah, so yeah, we have actually got the import part properly. So what this builder is doing, let me check. Rename reference. D will be capital over here. Make sure to avoid these small mistakes, because see, I was just writing the b small and it was showing me an error, right? Now you can see it's not giving that particular error. Okay. So inside this base URL, you have to provide the URL which we were you have to provide the URL which we were having over here. What URL we have? We have this particular UI. Inside this, we have this URL. Okay, so http treasure api.com till here. Okay, and a black backslash. Don't copy this search part because this search part we are already providing to our data. Okay, in this application interface, API interface, we are providing that data over here. So no need to copy that part. Apart from that, we can just write like this, and after this, we will write add converter factory. Okay. Add converter factory. Inside this, we'll write our JSON converter that we have just imported. So JSON converter factory. Okay. Dot create like that. So JSON converter factory dot create like that. We have to just import it. So we'll click here and let's do one thing. Instead of this, I'll import it right here. So import retrofit 2 dot converter dot JSON dot JSON converter. So retrofit 2 dot converter dot JSON dot JSON converter factory. Okay, so that we will be importing over there, and let me check everything is fine here. So will let me click it here and this part also here. Now after this we will write build. Okay, so as soon as we will write build, it will be asking some of the main part and we will write another thing. So what we will write API interface. So whatever is the API interface, we will be writing that part. So dot build and dot create. Inside this create, we will give what we will give API interface. So API interface, it will be having what class dot Java. So this will be our API interface and the part. So JSON converter factory dot create. So we'll see this why we are not getting reference converter. Okay, so as actually it should work fine, but I don't know why it's not taking that part. Let me do one thing. We'll go to Gradle projects, build Gradle. Okay, and we have to check that whether we have our JSON converter properly working on it. So we'll just click on copy and head over to the browser and we'll click here JSON converter like that. So here we have Marvin's repository. Inside this, you can see we have different dependencies. So yeah, here it's saying implementation, group name, JSON converter, and all these things it's telling us. And yeah, this is the Gradle. So here you can see this is the converter that we have to write. Okay, so implementation, square up, JSON converter, and all these things. So we will check this line and we will paste it. Okay. So now you can see that this JSON converter has been written and we'll give it sync now and let's wait for a couple of seconds until it's getting completely synced. And here, as soon as it will be synced, you can see that the error has been resolved. Okay. And here it says variable retrofit is never used. So we will be using that part as well. So as of now, you can see that we have created a retrofit builder. If you have any sort of issues that what exactly we are doing over here inside this retrofit, you can head over to this article, and here it exactly tells us what we have to do completely. Okay. So here you can see it's telling us retrofit returns your API. Then it generates an implementation. Okay. It says retrofit builder, and then you have to provide the base URL in it. Then you have to write build. Each call from the created can make synchronous and asynchronous HTTP request to the remote web server. Okay. So these are all the things that it will tell. So if you have any issues, make sure to read this article and your doubts will be cleared out. Okay. Now, what we are going to do here is we have created a retrofit builder. Okay. So here is a little tricky part over here. What we are going to do, we are going to be calling out. Okay. So what happens if an API call is success, then what exactly should be executed? And if it is a failure, then what exactly it should be executed? So what we are going to do, we are going to be creating some functions over here. Okay. So writing after this immediate writing after this Java, what I'll write val, okay, retrofit data. Okay, so retrofit data equals to retrofit builder dot get data. Inside get data, what you have to give the string. In our case, it was Eminem, so we will give the string of Eminem over there. Okay, and what you have to do now, you have to write retrofit data dot enqueue. Okay, so what this enqueue will do, it will ask object. Okay, and then you have to write callback. Okay, so what you exactly it's to callback. So callback list. Okay, so it should basically call back a list, and inside this list it should have my data. Okay, then what we will do, we will write a null check, and after this, we should be executing curly brackets, and inside this, we will be writing two functions. So override function, what these functions will do, it will give on response. So on response, so inside this on response, it should like callback data response and my data. It is default. What it should be having, it should be having what happens if the data is not executed. Okay, so to do not to do yet not implemented like that. Okay, so to do this part. So in this, we will remove this to do over here, and from that I'll write val data list, okay, equals to response dot body. Whatever will be the response dot body will go there, and val text view. So inside this text view, we are going to write find view by ID, and inside this we will write text view, and then we will be writing r dot ID. Okay, so r dot ID dot text. Okay, so whatever you have. So in this case, suppose we have, let me check what you have in the activity main. So we'll go to code, and inside this code, we have text view. So inside this text view, we will give it an ID as hello. Okay. So we will give it an ID as hello, and now we will come here and I'll write hello. So whatever was the hello, hello like that. Okay. What happens to this ID? Cannot resolve the ID properly. Okay, so we have to firstly write here plus uh, ID ID, and then we have hello like that. Okay, so you can add hello over there, and as soon as it will be done. Okay, so this hello has been initiated, hello text, whatever we have. Then inside this text view, okay, what you have to do, text view dot text, you have to write it as data list dot toString. So you have to convert this into the string. Okay, so after this we'll write toString, and then we'll write log dot d. Okay. Inside this we will be implementing what, the message, whatever we have the message. So I'll write tag on response, on response. Okay, and after this it should be asking for message. So whatever we have the message, we will be inputting that. So on response, so on response, inside this on response we will add the data. So whatever we have getting the response dot body, all these things we will be pasting that out inside of it. Okay, so we will be writing that on response part. So this is done. What error it's giving us now, let me check. Okay, so we will be checking that part over here. Let me see what error it's throwing us. Log read. L should be capital. Okay. It should get import. Okay. So as soon as it will be imported, this part of the error will be gone. Now why this object is not abstracted, does not implement. Okay, so yeah, so it's asking for on failure part as well. So we have to provide the on failure function. So we'll write override, and after this override, I'll write function, and in this I'll write on failure. Okay, so this will be the on failure function. As soon as this part will be not implemented, I'll write log d, log dot d. Okay, and inside this we'll write tag, tag, and right inside this tag I'll write on failure. Okay, so on failure we have, what exactly should be the message we are going to write that. So on failure we will be implementing plus t dot message. Okay, so whatever will be the message, that part we will be implementing on the on failure function. Okay, so this part I hope everybody has understood. We have just written the response, what exactly should happen if the API is giving us a response, and what exactly should happen if it's not giving us the response. Okay, now the final step is left. Like what we exactly we have to do, we have to go to Android manifest. Okay, so we'll go to the Android manifest over here, and inside this we will be just providing the internet permission. Okay, so we'll write user permission. Okay, and inside this I'll search for internet, and we will be adding the internet permissions over here. Okay, so yeah, here you can see the permission part has been added. Now let's do one thing. Let's just quickly run our application to see whether everything is working fine or not. Okay, so we'll click on run over here. Let's give it a second or so till it's running. I hope that whatever we have learned is completely clear to you guys, what we are doing, how exactly our files are working and everything. Okay, so let's give it a second till it's running. And obviously, if we have any sort of errors, we will be getting the on failure tag. And if we have done everything perfectly, then we will be getting on response. Okay, so let's wait until it's running perfectly. Okay, so yeah, till that you can see that it's running Gradle things, and also yeah, launching app on Pixel 6 API 33, waiting for target devices to come online. Yeah, you can see the device is online, and now it's clicking install. You can see the data It's saying install, and here you can see it has successfully launched. Okay, but what it says unable to get failure, unable to resolve host teaser.dp rep API, no address associated with host name. Okay. So we will go to our host name where we have provided, and let's check. So data, oh, sorry, data, not in data actually. We have API interface. Inside API interface, I have provided this, right? So here it's telling us that we are getting this in this particular errors, right? So yeah, rapid key. Right after this rapid key, we have this part. Okay. So Dreezer devs, and here it says Dreezer dev rapid host API X. So here is the part where we are getting our error. Okay. So let's check what we can exactly do to resolve this particular error. Okay. So we'll go over here and we will have a look exactly what you can add over here. Okay, so what I'll be doing here is I'll be checking out my keys. So this part looks good. And here, instead of writing this, we will be adding host. And right after this host, we have teaser devs dash reasons dot p dot rapid api.com. Okay, so this part is completely done. Okay, let's check. We have even denoted all these things properly, and yeah, let's bring it here so that it's more easy for everybody to check. So x dot rapid API, technically it should work fine, right? So let me go back to that particular link where we were working. So Dreezer API, inside this Dreezer API, it says add header. Okay. So request builder dot add header and add header dot build, all these things it is telling us. So we'll go back to our app, and here inside this headers, we will be doing what? We will be just renaming it, and let's do one thing. We'll check for any inputs error. So let me do one thing. Let me firstly restart the code. Okay, so we will hit run again. Till that part, it's working fine, right? But what we are getting an error, we are getting expected binary array, but was begin object at line 1, column 2 paths. Okay, so it's saying that we were expecting an array, but we are getting object. So let me go to the code and analyze what exactly is happening. So inside this activity main, we are getting callback data. So instead of this list, what we will do, we will just ask for data. Okay, like that. My data. So we will be just asking for my data part. So let me do one thing. Let me go to that API interface. Inside API interface, we will remove this list part. Okay. And we will just call out my data. Okay. So my data will be called over there. And in every places where it is calling out a list, we will just call out my data. Okay. So list, this part is done. Object override over here also. So list dot my data, this part is done. And inside this on failure also we have to implement this change. Okay. So yeah, this part is done. And as soon as we will be clicking that, we will be checking over here that whatever are the error. So text view dot data dot string. Now, if you will click on this body part and if you will dash, you can see that we are getting string, total, and all these data points that we need to do. So let me do one thing. Let me just rerun the app to see whether our data is getting fetched or not. Expected an element. Okay, so yeah. Now let's rerun it. So yeah, you can see that we are not getting that error, and it should properly get us the data. Why it's not getting us the data? Let me have a look. So in this log, what we are getting expanding binder, and we got null. Okay, so we even have to check for null over here. Exactly where we have. So here you can see that automatically we are getting the data. What you can even do, you can add a null and then you can ask to give you the data like that. And let me do one thing. Let me rerun the app and let's wait for it to run. You can see it's running, and see it's automatically giving you the data. So our basic part is done. Our API is working exactly fine, and the basics of our music application has been done. Okay. So the setup has been done. In the next part, we will be creating the layout part, where we will be creating a layout which will be getting this particular data run on its own, and we will be getting a proper output. Okay. So I hope you have understood whatever we have learned in this video. We have learned what exactly is retrofit, how to create an API, and how to use an API in an application and work with it. Okay. So this was pretty much it for this video. I will catch you in the next part where we will be implementing even more steps of this particular music player. Till then, see you. Have a great day.